Good day, everybody. My name is Jason Laurie, and I'm excited about our webinar this morning called Automation, Taking Your Practice from Good to Great. For those of you that don't know who I am, like I said, my name's Jason. I'm actually the Director in Sales and Marketing, as well as a co-owner for Lighthouse Practice Management Group, of which one of the tools that we bring to dentistry is the ability to automate practice. Now, if you're expecting this to be some sort of product dump, unfortunately, that's not what it's going to be. We're not doing a demo here per se. We are here to talk about the bigger issue of automating a dental practice in general, kind of the business principles behind it, the reason why I think it is one of those few things that can take your practice from good to great. Now, if you're not familiar with the term automation, basically what it is it's a condition of being automatically operated or controlled. So in a dental practice, what that means is taking the aspects of your practice that a human is doing now and allowing software to control them. And really we're talking about the menial tasks. I just want to let you know exactly how extremely lucky you are in dentistry. Prior to entering back into the dental profession, I actually owned a real estate investment firm, and we didn't have tools that would automate what we were doing. There are a lot of steps involved in buying and selling real estate, and unfortunately we had to have a human being complete every single one of those steps. What that did is it eventually choked off the business to the point where we couldn't grow anymore because we were starving for more personnel. Dentistry is not that way. You're extremely lucky. There are several different tools that can help automate a dental practice. So consider yourself lucky to be able to have access to those tools, because there are a lot of businesses that simply don't have them. Why should you automate your practice? Now, really, there are two reasons. One is time, and the other is decision making. And we'll talk about each one of those here briefly. The time aspect of the practice is governed by this law. This law is called the law of posteriority. And basically what the law of posteriority says is that I'm paraphrasing here, there's only an hour in an hour. If you can do 5 things in an hour and somebody gives you a 6th thing to do, something is going to take the rear. And so your business is governed by this law. In fact, I would go as far as to say that life in general is really choked by time, that a business can only grow as fast as the number of tasks that they can complete, times the personnel available to complete those tasks. And so that's where automation comes in handy, is that you can complete more tasks without actually having to hire more personnel and basically suck all your potential profit away. So what this means in dentistry is I took just a quick little survey. I just looked at some of the tasks associated with dentistry, and I was able to identify 180 tasks. Now, these are business-related tasks. These are not clinical tasks, just business-related tasks. And surprisingly, about 138 of those 180 tasks are completed on a daily basis. That's roughly 19 tasks per hour that need to be completed. These tasks range from new patient responsibilities all the way to employee functions and general management responsibilities. So there are a whole lot of tasks that need to be completed in a dental practice. Now, in reality, there's no way that a dental office can complete 138 tasks per day. Just can't be done. And so what happens, and we all do this, is we have to prioritize our tasks. And usually what happens is that the priorities are those items that have immediate ramification to the practice. For instance, you got a patient standing right in front of you. You need to take care of that patient. You have the phone ringing. Whatever the case may be, those tasks that have immediate ramification to the practice are the ones that get completed. And the others, like recall reactivation, for instance, get put on the back burner. Now, I have 2 charts here. And this kind of describes exactly what happens in a dental office when you prioritize your tasks. You can see the yellow line here, yellow-orange line, is employees, the number of employees that a practice has. Now, in my scenario, I think I have 3 employees. Certainly this is scalable, so if you have more than 3, fine. whatever. It doesn't really make a difference. This just continues to grow. So the purple line is the tasks that an employee can complete on an hourly basis. The green line is the tasks that need to be completed on an hourly or daily basis. So what you can see is that the employees are constant. You reach a certain number of employees and that's all you really can handle. The tasks that are completed may rise and fall just a little bit. I've got it marked here as constant, but you'll get the idea. The green line shows the tasks that need to be completed, and the red area here is the discrepancy between what an employee can complete and what needs to be completed on a daily basis. That is prioritizing those items that have immediate ramifications. In this circumstance, the purple line represents those items that have immediate ramification. The green line, or the discrepancy area, which is in red, are the items that need to be done but aren't being done because they don't have immediate ramification. Now, the second graph kind of shows, anyone who's in sales would know this is your sales pipeline graph. And what tends to happen is that you have these peaks and valleys. When you have, and we have two here, we have, in this case, represented with new patients, the green line, and then the purple one is tasks completed. When you have more patients coming through the door, which are the peaks, there's more immediate ramification, right? Dealing with those new patients. So the number of tasks that are completed reduces. So you have a valley on the purple line. And then you say, uh-oh, we don't have any new patients coming in next month. And you start working on the tasks necessary to bring those patients in, and you get these peaks and valleys. So if you replace new patients with, let's say, recall patients, you'll get even maybe a more robust idea of how this works. You have a whole bunch of patients coming through the door, so you're dealing with them. Your recall reactivation campaigns suffer. That's the valley. You say, uh-oh, I'm in trouble. You start doing recall reactivation. New patients come in, and the process starts over and over again. So you have these huge peaks and valleys that are opposing one another between the tasks completed and the number of patients coming through the door. Automation helps to smooth that out, and I'll show you that in just a little bit. So why not just hire more people? I mean, certainly if you have more tasks that need to be completed, why not just hire more people to do those tasks? That may sound like a good idea, but that has problems as well. There are really two problems. Number one, you have space issues. If you have, you can't have 100 people in a dental office. You just wouldn't be able to house all those people. So you have space issues. You also, employees are expensive. So if you have, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 salaries that you're paying to complete some of these menial tasks, then your expenses are going to supersede your profits, so you don't want that. But the other thing you need to take into account is personnel issues and decision-making processes. That the more people you have, the more personnel issues you have as well. The more fires you need to put out, which means that you're going through a lot more decision-making processes. All of those things take away from what you're there to do, which is to provide quality dentistry to patients. So there has to be, certainly you want to bring in the right people and you want to bring in the right amount of people. But at some point there's a diminishing return to that as well. And so you need to be wise in the way that you hire personnel. So let's talk about this decision-making principles real quick, because that's the second aspect that automation brings to the table. The first is time. The second is decision-making paradigm. Every decision really has several steps to it. You have the identification of the problem. What is it? Request for information. Where can I get more info? What's causing the problem? Information analysis, right? That's what caused the problem in the first place. Brainstorming. What's the best method to solve this problem? You come up with a solution. You solve the problem. And then there's ramification for that solution. What other problems were caused because of the solution to this particular problem? So this is what happens in decision making. Now, this concept of exception management, which is a form of automation, decreases the decision-making process by reducing the amount of time that it takes for you to identify, become informed, analyze, and brainstorm problems. By having the computer actually do all of that for you all of the time. So you're not constantly going through a mountain of reports trying to figure out if there is a problem, identification. And then once you've found a problem, going and looking and see what caused the problem. exception management reporting is constantly analyzing your reports, looking at how things should be, and then when something is not the way that it should be, making sure that you're flagged so you can take action on it. So that is a huge benefit to small business, having the ability to make quick and accurate decisions on things, and automation is really the key to making that happen. So like I said, automating a dental office has two things that it brings to the table, task reduction and decision making. So what does this look like in a dental office? Well, on task reduction, there are 138 daily tasks, which we identified before. Do you know 48 of those could be automated? That's a 38% reduction in your workload. That's a pretty significant reduction in workload. And that's all those tasks that fall into that discrepancy area, as we had talked about in the graph before. So let's talk about three scenarios. Obviously, we're not going to cover all 48 different tasks that can be completed by automation, but we can cover three, I think, of the most important ones. And that's the patient appointment, recall reactivation, patients that are due for recall but not scheduled, and marketing and social networking. I throw that in there because a lot of people want to know about it, and that process can be automated as well. So let's look at the patient appointment. Now, the first portion of this slide is in the 20th century, in the olden days, right? What we used to do in a dental office when a patient would appoint. And the process is pretty simple. A patient would either call you, or on their last visit, would schedule an appointment. Then this period of time would pass between when the appointment was scheduled and when it's time for the actual appointment. So a little bit prior to that, we're going to send a postcard out to the patient, if it's a long-term appointment like a recall. And then as we get within a few days of the actual appointment time, we call and confirm. We pray that they don't say, oh, I can't make it. Just in a perfect scenario, we'll say they say, yep, I'll be there. They show up for their appointment. If it's a new patient, we'll give them the information they need to fill out. Hope that the patient got there 15 to 30 minutes early so they don't throw your schedule off completing those forms. They get their dentistry done, they're happy, and you schedule their follow-up appointment. In fact, it was probably the patient that filled out their own postcard, and you put it in a Rolodex, and then when we get back to this period, after that period of time had passed, we send out the postcard again. And I have these green dots there. Each green dot represents human interaction. Now note that in the 20th century, all 5 of these interactions had to be completed by a human being. Now in the 21st century, we do it a little differently. We reduce that interaction to only 2 interactions along the graph here. We've also increased the total number of interactions we have with the patient. So if looking at the 21st century graph, patient calls, schedules an appointment, or on their subsequent visit, they schedule. Now if they're a new patient, we recognize that and would automatically send out the forms in advance so the patient can fill those forms out and bring them with them to their appointment. A period of time passes, we get close to the appointment, we send an email. That email is asking the patient to confirm. If they click confirm in the email, it's automatically marked confirmed in your appointment book. Don't have to do it. No human interaction. If we don't have an email or they don't respond to the email, then we'll go back to traditional means. We'll send them a postcard. Then as we get closer to the appointment time, we can do an automated phone call, which would call the patient and ask them to confirm. If they mark it confirmed, great. If they don't, then maybe a human wants to get involved in the process. Then as we get closer to the appointment, like say an hour or 2 prior, we're going to send them a text message reminder asking them to get off their butt and start heading toward the appointment. And then they show up for their appointment. They give you the forms that they've already filled out, hopefully, and you do the dentistry. They're happy. You schedule the next appointment. It shoots out an email to the patient right then and there. And then there's even a request for a follow-up survey, and we'll talk about that when we get to social networking. So all of these steps, a human has to answer the phone and do the dentistry. All the rest is completed by automation, and that is a significant reduction in staff time to be able to use the software the way that it was intended. So let's talk about recall reactivation. It's hard to say typical because in my dental experience I've not seen even this comprehensive, but let's say you're doing it perfectly in the 20th century.